Hey, it's Paul Tobey here. Welcome to another one of my tutorials. In this one, I'm going to answer a subscriber question from A. Grant, who wants to learn about the descending structures, for example, at the 50-second mark and then at the 1 minute 28. And he's referring to a video that I made recently on a improvisation for spring can really hang you up the most. So I'm going to focus on those two things, and I'm going to do one other thing, which is to play the verse for Spring Can Really Hang You Up the Most. Somebody had mentioned that I left that out in a recent recording on Facebook. So I'm going to play the verse for you in this video as well. But let's start with the question. So at the 50-second mark, he is referring to this descending pattern. So when the melody goes like this, he's referring to this section right here. So what's happening here? Well, the melody itself is just a C major 7th chord. So if you actually look at the notes descending, you've got the 7th, the 5th, the 3rd, and the root. And then it's going to a G9 chord where it's going from the 9th to the 7th to the 5th to the 3rd. So it's really just those two chords, C major 7 and G7. So when you get things like that, it's always a good idea to play other things along with that. Now, you could use closed voicings like BG Adair, or you could do things like I did in the video where it's a little more open. And the reason why that sounds good is because the chord that followed that up is quite a dissonant chord. B flat 7 sharp 11 chord. And you can see that right here. And when you proceed something like that with these open voicings, it's always going to sound good. You don't want to always have just dissonance. You want to mix it up a little bit. So all I've done here is I've taken each note and I've put a triad on it. So the first one is G major, the second one is E minor, then C major, then A minor, F, D minor, B diminished, and G, all basically from the scale of C major. So then when you're playing the G chord, what you're doing is instead of root position, because the melody is the 3rd, play the chord in 3rd inversion. So this is 1st inversion, this is 2nd, this is 3rd. Okay? And then take the middle note out, which is the root, and put it down an octave. So take this note here and put it down an octave. And then play the chords like that. Takes a little bit of practicing because you have to get it under your fingers. Interestingly enough, the left hand is descending in chords as well. So the first one is an A minor chord, A minor 7th, and then a G7 chord. Okay, so there's something that you can use. The second thing that we're going to talk about is when he mentions the 1/28-second mark, which is this descending pattern here. So when it goes like this, he wants to know what that scale is. So you can't really think this in tuplets. So what that means is you've got 10 notes in the space of a quarter for each of those. So you really have to think about, well, where does it start? So it starts on the beat, and then it ends on the beat. And you've got 2 quarter notes to pass. So you really have to think about it in terms of just those quarter notes. You really can't think of it like 10 tuplets. So the first part is, it just does that little tuplet at the beginning, and then it just goes down the scale starting from the D flat. And then all we're doing is we're playing this scale. It's a D flat major 7 scale. So why does that work? Well, the answer is it's kind of like an A7 altered chord. And it's ending up on the 7th of the F sharp diminished 7th chord. So you kind of have to think about, again, those quarters here, passing those two, and ending on the beat with that note. So it's a little tricky. And you'll notice at the end, it doesn't just do the scale, it does G flat, F natural, and then to the E, like that. Okay, so there's a couple of ideas that you can use when you play ballads. So the first one was that descending pattern, and the second one is this long scale that goes down. It's just basically a D flat major 7 chord. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, so the third thing I wanted to do in this video was to play you the verse from Spring Can Really Hang You Up the Most. So let me play that now, and if you have any questions about it and some of the things that I'm doing in it, do the same thing as we did in this video, is just ask your question in the comments below and point out which part in the timeline you want to discuss, whether it's the 30-second mark or the minute 30-second or whatever. So let me play the verse for you, and then we'll come back. Okay, so there's the verse, and as I mentioned, if you have any questions about that, just put it in the comments below. Okay, so I hope that is useful to you. If you like this tutorial, give it a thumbs up, that would be great. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, just hit the little bell, because you'll be notified of all of the other upcoming videos that we are making. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you in another video.